Good morning. Thank you for joining me for my Sunday Facebook Live. My name is Tracy Hild. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Melbourne in Australia, and this is the card that we're going to make today. Let's have a quick run through of the products that I've used. So I've used the Sunrise Sailing Bundle, and in an ideal world I would have everything here with me. Okay, so we've got the stamp set and the dies, and it comes with a hybrid embossing folder which I've left at a friend's house, so I don't have with me today, but that's okay. I have a plan B. And then I'm also using the Stylish Shapes dies, and we're using Nested Essentials. I have a whole lot of different colors that we're going to use to blend, and what we cannot do without is masking paper. Okay, really need that for this card. Okay, so let's get started with making it. And it actually is one of those ones that is easier than it looks. Okay. So we're going to take our piece of basic white cardstock, and okay, I'm having one of those days where I put things down and they disappear on me. We've got a piece of masking paper which is pretty much the same size, and you can reuse the masking paper, so this looks a bit grotty because yes, I have used it a couple of times, but as long as it's still sticky, it's going to work fine. And all that I've done is I've cut the biggest Stylish Shapes circle out of the masking paper. Okay, so we're just going to stick that masking paper, and it doesn't have to be 100% straight, but I do want it to sort of cover my edges because alright, no, I do want my circle to actually sit nicely here. Let me see if I can get that a little bit better. Okay, I ripped the masking paper. Alright, let's try this again. There we go, that looks somewhat better. I'll just turn that way. Right, so starting with my Daffodil Delight, I'm going to just see, because I have different color brushes here, although my brushes are all clean because I tend to wash them after every time. So we're going to just blend some Daffodil Delight onto the circle, and I do want it to be relatively dark, so I'm just going to keep adding ink. I'm more concerned that it's darker in the middle. I'm not too concerned about the edges because we are going to add different ink there, but just going around the edges. And what I forgot to do before I started that, and hopefully I've not messed it up too badly, is I actually want to put another piece of masking paper across there so that we're going to get that very definite line for our sun. Okay, so I don't think I had too much ink on the bottom, so hopefully this is going to come out the way that I want it to. Next, I'm picking up some Timid Tiger, and we're going to go with the Timid Tiger around the edges. Now the Timid Tiger is quite dark, so just go off because you don't want it too blotchy when you're coming in here. I want Timid Tiger around the edges there. I'm going to go back in and just add a bit more Daffodil Delight. and then around the edges I'm going to add a little bit of cherry cobbler. We just want that cherry cobbler coming in right on the edges there. And just to smooth out the lines of it, I'll just go over. That one was the Timid Tiger brush, and I think I'm happy with that. Okay, so now we're going to lift off this masking paper, and I think that probably coming to the end of this one, it's reached its use by date. It actually tore the paper, but that's okay. Right, now what I'm going to do is take my circle that I cut out of that mask, so it is also out of the masking paper, and I'd stuck it on the back here just so that I wouldn't lose it. And we're going to stick that over my blended circle. So it should be the same size because it is the piece that came out. And then I'm going to pick up some Secret C, and here I'm just going around the edges of the circle. So around the edges, yes, that makes perfect sense. This meant around the top, because this is going to be my sky bit, and you can see I'm getting that a bit blotchy, but I'm fine with that because it can look like it's cloudy. And then I'm going to just want a little bit more here because I am going to cover it up. Alright, now I'm going to lift my circle off, and you can see that I have got a bit of an edge here where I laid my circle down, but that's fine. I'm okay with that, having that little white edge around it. And then I'm going to put my strip of masking paper back along that bottom edge, and this time I'm picking up Misty Moonlight, and we're going to now blend the Misty Moonlight. So I want a different color between the sea and the sky. And I just want some extra at the bottom there where I hadn't put my blending the first time. Now, if you have your embossing folder with you, you're going to go and just emboss the C, so the bottom part of the embossing folder, over that bit there. But because I don't have the embossing folder, plan B is going to be to actually stamp some waves, but I want to stamp the waves in Secret C because I want them to show up a bit darker. We're just going to stamp waves all the way across instead of the embossing. So it's up to you whether you prefer the stamped look or the embossed look for the waves. They'll both work. Okay. And that's our blending all done. Now before I put my paper away, I just want to show you what I did with the sails. Okay, so you can see I've got the sort of little flaggy bits on there, and what I actually did there is I stamped them with Versamark and then heat embossed them with clear embossing powder. Now the stamp doesn't actually fit the little ships in the stamp set. It's designed to stamp over that big ship. Okay, so you would just stamp it over there and it stamps on them. But I wanted them on the little ships. So what I did is I've die cut my 2 sails, and those are the ones that come with the stamp set. So your die set. So your die set has the big ship that matches the stamp, and then it's got the 2 smaller ones. So if you want a middle-sized one and the little one, and then those are the sails, those are the middle-sized sails, and those are the big sails. All right, so what I did was I've taken my stamp, and what I'm going to do is just cover up that half of the sail. I'm going to try and do it half, so we're going to ink up that and stamp it on there. Now, like I said, this was done with Versamark and clear embossing powder, but I'm just showing you with the ink so that you can see what I did. And then I've done the same on the little one, and then clean the stamp. And it doesn't matter if you ink up the whole stamp because you do have something that you're masking off, but I'm just going half. So then we're going to just cover up that half and stamp on that half, and the same on this side. Alright, so that's how I adapted my big stamp to fit my smaller sails. And then once I have heat embossed them, all that I'm going to do is pick up my blending brush, and you can choose your color. I may not even need more ink on it, and then we're just going to blend onto the sail. No, you weren't supposed to come with. Oh goodness. Alright, well that one is now a multicolor sail, and I just want a little bit more ink on my big one. And then just take a tissue or a bit of paper towel and rub it over your blending, and that'll lift the ink off the embossing so that it shows up white underneath. But do it gently so that you don't bend your sail. Right, and because I don't want to lose my sail while I've got this, you're then going to take your ship, I guess, I don't know, the base or the skeleton or whatever we want to call it, and just stick those sails on top. And you can see I had prepared earlier, so I've got some of them already stuck together, but we've got our bigger one and our smaller one that I'm just sticking the sail on top. Right. There we go, and now all the hard work is done and we're ready to assemble our card. We've got our card base, and I just decided that I didn't like that directly against the Secret Sea, so I'm putting a layer of Poppy Parade in between. And occasionally when I do the extra matte layer on the outside, I like to have the inside matching. So we're going to just stick that Poppy Parade matte on the inside as well. And then our blended layer is going on top. Now before I stick my ships, the most important part is the birds. I just love birds and I just want to stamp them before I actually stick the ships. And I'm having a really good day today. I have ink all over my hands and the ink is getting everywhere, but that's okay. Right, so there we have some birds trying to hide the smudges, but maybe not so well. And then I'm going to stick one of my little ships flat. So I can see where the bird is and stick it between the birds. And then my big ship is going onto dimensionals. I'll put a big dimensional behind the sails. And it wouldn't be me if dimensionals didn't go into hiding. And I actually made very sure that I had some mini dimensionals before I started. And I can find umpteen sheets of big dimensionals, but none of the minis. Okay, that just means that I'm going to cut along the edge. Looks like today is one of those days where things just don't want to go the way I want them to go, and I think that that's going to just be too big, so it will make the dimensionals fit and try and stick them on straight. That would also be a novel. Don't know why I'm hanging on to that scissors like that, but alright, so then we've got our big ship over here on dimensionals, and what I did on the inside is I just stuck another two little ships because I always like to decorate my inside. I think I'm going to do it the other way this time. I had stuck the other one over, but I'm going to see if I can hide some of that red. Alright, so we're going to put one there, and then this one is coming up probably too close to it. I'm sure that that would be illegal if we were really sailing, but that's alright. I actually don't mind my multicolour sail. It was a mistake, but if I don't tell anybody, nobody will know. So we're going to just just layer that onto that Poppy Parade mat. And then I have stamped the sentiment, and I've cut it out with that second, I cut it out with the two big one. Okay, it was supposed to be the smallest Nested Essentials die, but I cut the big one. So we're going to stick that on and decorate it with some of our In Colour pearls. And I'm actually going to go cut that down because that one definitely is too big. And you can see when I did this one, I've used the Secret Sea, so the sky looks a little bit more cloudy. I think that one I did Misty Moonlight, and then I just did darker Misty Moonlight at the bottom. But I decided I wanted to do the Secret Sea just to have the differences in the colours. Okay, so hasn't been one of my smoothest Facebook Lives, but at least I managed to show you the blending and how to do that. So give it a go. It is a really nice effect on that card. And I will see you again next week. Until then, bye for now.